raise your rent, and then it's always on your rent. A pass-through for an item is a dollar amount that's separate from the rent, and it might last for 5 years, and then it goes away once the item is completely recompensed and paid for. However, they need a vehicle, and if you have rent control, there has to be some authority in the rent control statute for them to do that, or else it's illegal. Or they should have a long-term lease provision. If you have, unfortunately, signed a long-term lease, a lot of them are bad because they have these pass-through provisions. Capital items, property taxes, insurance, uninsured losses, judgments where we lose to tenants and have to pay them money. Crazy stuff in some of those documents. But GSMOL, we took 2 cases to the courts in the 90s, and I argued both of them. One of them went to the Court of Appeal in Sacramento, and it was the hardest argument I've ever had. They were not sympathetic, and they basically said, what does it matter? If it's rent or capital improvements, it's the same thing. They can charge you. And my remark to the judge was, you know, someday they're going to be passing through the cost of the ping pong balls. You know that, right? And pretty soon rent's just going to be profit. Well, it didn't really tread water. There is something in an opinion called Dills versus Redwood Estates that was one of our cases from up in Redding, where they did say, we do understand the residents are concerned that a multiplicity of pass-through upon pass-through upon pass-through could bury them. I haven't really seen a park where that's happened. I don't know of any park that's had maybe more than 3 pass-throughs at one time. But you know, it's still an issue that we're dealing with, to be sure. Number 16. This is a fun one. Responsibility for maintaining a tree on your lot is determined by who planted the tree. True or false?
True. False.
I hear true, I hear false. How many say true? Whoever planted the tree is responsible.
True.
The answer is false. It used to be, before GSMOL got our infamous tree driveway bill passed, as Tim well remembers, that the 2 questions I hated to get as a lawyer doing this kind of law was trees and driveways. I hated those questions because we didn't have any clear law. And people would say, well, I didn't plant the tree. Why should I be responsible? That tree was here when I moved in, and you know, it's right in their front yard. Well, this law that we got passed says if the tree is on your space, you're responsible to maintain it, except when? Health and safety, or an imminent hazard. How do we determine that? Well, we might have to call HCD out. But I can tell you this, if the HCD staff was still here, they would tell you that if the tree roots are busting up concrete, if they are making your home out of level because the roots are migrated underneath, if there are branches touching your house, those are all imminent hazard health and safety issues, and the park owner will be cited for them. If it's thinning, except if the tree is, you know, a monster tree, if it's thinning, picking up the dead leaves and branches, picking up the dead fruit, making sure the thing is not diseased, that's your responsibility if the tree's located on your lot. Now, I know a lot of times people say, well, the park owner always has taken care of these trees, now they said they're not going to do it anymore. I get that. That's interesting. That, you know, the past history may actually have created some kind of a contract or something else, some kind of a duty. But normally it's your responsibility. The common area trees are clearly the park's responsibility. What about palm trees? Everybody have palm trees in their parks? Especially down here. Years ago, we said as a league, you know, palm trees by their nature are health and safety issues. And they're tall. They're 100 feet tall sometimes. They drop stuff. There's rats living up in those dead fronds. And, you know, the park owners go, well, they're just like any other tree. Come on, that's not true. Well, guess what? There was a guy down in LA, I think by the courthouse, walking along the street, and part of a palm tree fell on him and killed him. Now, that's a terrible story. But it's a very helpful story for for people that are saying, we think health and safety comes into play with palm trees, because it does. And if you have those huge palm trees that some contractor says it's going to cost you like, $1,000 to go up there and trim them, they have to put some strap on and shimmy up there. That to me is a health and safety issue, because you say, I can't do that, and it's cost prohibitive for me to do it. But park owners should do what's called economy of scale, where they have a contractor come out and do all the trees at once, so that it would cost a lot less. But we have a memo from Department of Housing circa 1993 that basically says palm trees could be imminent hazard by their nature. So that's a good thing to know, I think. Number 17, can a cleaning deposit be required by management if we're going to have a GSM well meeting? No. Absolutely not. That would be a chilling effect, especially because before we got this law passed, you understand, right, that all these laws we're talking about, GSM well passed all these, right? You understand that. I mean, almost in every single case, it's what we did. You can only imagine what was happening. Hey, we want to have a GSMO meeting. Hey, great, that'll be a $1,000 cleaning deposit, because, you're going to have cookies there, right? It takes a long time to clean the cookie crumbs up. I mean, nobody's going to have a meeting. So that is something that we had to take care of. And presumably, it says that even if guests or non-residents are attending, as long as the resident is hosting the meeting for all homeowners in the park. In other words, it's not a private party. If your son or daughter's getting married and you're having the reception in the clubhouse, guess what? You're going to have to pay a cleaning deposit. Can they require insurance, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Only for alcohol. They cannot require any insurance for a GSM well meeting or a homeowner meeting.